Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue with the birthday people. So far I have done a lot of readings for, I don't know if maybe I started earlier, but I do feel like somehow the quantity of Aries videos are a lot. I'm amazed actually, but of course that next week we are going to take a little break of those and start doing other readings. So if you want to leave suggestions for other topics or other artists that you want me to read on, or to resume the personality reading, with the archetypes, the personality and general reading for the idols, it would also be nice. So today is going to be the turn of 17 Mingyu. And as you probably know, he had been facing a few controversies because of some people like recording private situations between him and his staff. So what they do backstage, basically, that I don't know why that person would get access to film him that close, but oh well. As the usual. The backlash definitely is on him and other things that happened about the color that he was wearing during the elections. So I think that I personally have my own opinion about this. I don't like it when they take things too far to criticize them. um, but also, while I was shuffling and putting the spread for him, I definitely sensed a lot of anger, and I think that uh, I kinda can empathize with the feeling of, when you try to be positive for so long and somehow these moments of criticism or of quote unquote scandals, and you are not in the best mood. It's like you're barely trying to keep it decent. You're trying your best to not to explode. So there's a bit of resentment in Mingyu, and he is an Aries. So like I always say, we are in Aries season. I talked about this in other videos about the Aries nature. Aries is ruled by Mars. The Mars is the god of war, So definitely he would be like, if he had the chance, he would like to put a few people in their places. When you have Aries placements, you also tend to get, very upset pretty easily, and then you eventually move on and you let go of it. But in the moment, it feels intense, So we here we're hoping and wishing he can get back to normal very soon, and that this does not affect his his sentiment about being in this industry. Um, so yes, let's talk a bit about his energy. I believe he's an Aries with a moon in Pisces. So I think that yes, Mingyu is a really sensitive guy because moon in Pisces, and this is actually a placement that is very also challenging for an Aries person, to have a water moon. To have a water moon and being an Aries is something that you probably notice that, just like when I mentioned 80s Songwa in his reading, somehow when they do have a water moon, it seems like their energy slows down a bit, but it doesn't mean that they are not Aries, that they are not Aries sign. It's just that there's a bit of, like, the energy feels a bit more like subtle, like not so much on your face, and even when they look at you, even though Aries tends to have very strong facial features, and they tend to frown a lot when they look at you. Their facial expressions look like they are almost always angry, but they are not angry. It's just their faces. Aries and Capricorn, we are both get bad reputations for our faces expressions, but it's not actually the reflection of who we are or what we are feeling in the moment. So, but in when you have a water moon, somehow your expressions are a bit softer. Like maybe yes, you do have like a sharp nose. You do have piercing eyes, but somehow you look sweeter, or you look not so much like a menace. Like you don't look like you are going to attack someone. Actually, what the ones that I noticed that do have a bit of aggressive, but they are not aggressive, but they do look like as if they were going to be aggressive, is Moon in Aries people. Moon in Aries idols, they do look like they are upset, like they are angry. So, yes, he is very sweet. He's very sensitive, but at the same time, when we think about the moon in Pisces, like I wouldn't say they like you should like rely on Pisces being dreamy and sweet and intuitive and out of this world. I think that since it is a immutable sign, you should watch out for their suddenly shifts in moods and reactions. Like not to get too comfortable with, oh, because Aries is really sweet, Aries is really caring, they sacrifice for people. Yes, but they could also like show you the very a strong manipulative and also very very powerful side of inner Pisces. Pisces also gets upset, and they don't have troubles like swifting their character in a second. So if you also add this to the fact that he's an Aries, it means that from he can go from sweet to really like intense in a second. So you shouldn't like rely on him on his moon in Pisces to describe his how polite, or if you expect him to be submissive. I don't think this is the case with him. So the cards that he got is the Ten of Wands in reversed, the King of Pentacles in reversed, the Emperor, the Tower, and the High Priestess. So a lot of major arcanas and all together, and at the same time, we have in the middle the Emperor card. That the Emperor is the representation of Aries in the tarot. So I think that this is a very strong and meaningful place to be in. Probably he's showing me that he still is the king, the emperor of his life. So somehow, if things sometimes get a bit harsh for him. Sometimes for him, I think that it probably has to do with being a moon in Pisces. For him, sometimes responsibilities and, all these things that he has to endure, and somehow all the things that he has to be patient about, and all the things that he has to hush somehow, things that he doesn't talk about, but he indeed bothers him. He indeed feels bothered by it. He cannot be, he cannot be um, like to act like he doesn't care. There's a few things that he does care. It's just that for me, he is someone that he's also very silent. Probably um, some Aries people are very talkative and front and upfront about what they feel, and some others are actually very quiet. Like they are more about showing you with actions how they feel, or with their behavior. Um, and I feel that this is the case with him, that he feels so much that sometimes he doesn't say it, because sometimes I think that probably there's a bit of like the same. The first thing that came to my mind when I started reading for him was Chai Wu. You know, about how Chai Wu is always like, or Chai Nu. I don't know how to pronounce his name. How, you know, everything about his persona is somehow, you know, put to the side because, you know, we need to talk about his looks, you know, and everyone is referring to them about looks. So I think that in the case of Mingyu, it's pretty similar, you know, in the sense that probably he does have a lot of sides to himself. You know, he probably is someone that could amaze you at how deep and how profound and complex and entertaining he can be. But at the same time, it's like it's all based in looks. It's all about his looks, you know, and he feels a bit like that probably he's not comfortable with that anymore, you know, because here we have, yes, we have the Ten of Wands that is about exhaustion, about being carrying these responsibilities for so long that he's just tired. He doesn't want to do it anymore, you know. But since this is in reversed, there's something about him, like probably like a bit like rebelling to be like the one that is holding all these ones. And I don't think that this is about, you know, that the responsibility is about the group or about the work or about the role that he plays in the group. I think that probably has to do with his life in general. You know, that he feels like he is fighting everyone. You know, like it seems like a lot of things in his life seem to be doing opposition to him. You know, like he has to fight people to to be himself or to do what he wants to do, you know. So I don't know if maybe in his family or there are people that don't approve about who he is or the choices that he makes. So there's also this sense of anger here, you know, because we start with the Wands, and actually he's the first Aries here that actually in this spread got Wands, because they all got a lot of Pentacles. So I sense a lot of Aries people like thinking about money. In this case, I think that he started with the card that is a wand suit. So here I can see his frustration. You know, he definitely feels exhausted and frustrated because he feels like nothing. It doesn't matter what he does. It's like always something is wrong. You know, and I think he's a bit tired of that. He's a bit tired of that. He's a bit tired of pretending like he doesn't care, you know, because he does care, and he's angry. You know, this is something that he's angry. He's like, you know, somehow he had his moments where he felt like he was comfortable with being in the industry, but probably in the few years he started to experience a lot of like that this is no fun, you know, that somehow it's not fun, and that he's also not seeing the results of his work. And probably this also has to do with the group, you know that probably he wishes for the group to do better, you know, because we have the King of Pentacles in reversed as well. So there's something about him feeling like a king, or him feeling successful and abundant when it comes to career and money, and somehow he feels like, yes, it's not that he's poor, because he's not poor, but he doesn't feel like he's producing, you know, he doesn't feel abundant. He doesn't feel like the coins are getting to him, you know, he doesn't feel like he is getting paid, or that he's getting a kind of result that is prosperous, and that it's also, you know, like the flowing of opportunities. You know, he just feels like he's just standing there in that place, in that state in his life where he feels like he's not making any advances. He's slowly like stuck, and he doesn't like the feeling of being stuck, you know. And especially thinking about, probably, you know, for him to be an idol, he had to give up to a lot in life. Probably he had to, you know, like that choice actually cost him a lot of opportunities, or a lot of things that he had in his life back then. Probably he had to do a lot of sacrifices about his personal life. So to get in all these misunderstandings and all these judgments, and prejudices, I feel like he doesn't feel like this is right. He doesn't feel like he deserves it, and of course he doesn't. But you know, I feel like definitely he's angry at the role he plays. Sometimes I think that this is why, when I mentioned that for me, fire signs and being part of the idol industry, it must be really, they must have moments of a lot of rage, really, because the fire nature, even though they are the ones that get things done and probably they have the fire and the desire, but the fire is always looking for something new. Like they don't want to follow a routine, they don't want to follow like guidelines, they don't want to follow instructions, they want to be free in their expression of creativity. So sometimes being an idol, it must be really hard for a fire sign, and this is something that I noticed, that sometimes the idols that get the most into trouble or controversies, or accusations, are the most of them are fire signs. They are Aries, not so much Leo. They're more Aries or Sagittarius, because they are very blunt in their nature, but somehow it seems like no matter how hard they try to be splendid and to show their passion, there's always going to be criticism, So, and they do not know how to respond to that except to get upset and very angry, you know, and and like also the fact that probably he cannot show it that he's upset, because it's not right. Um, so, but here with the emperor, definitely is letting me know that he is slowly like getting back to his confidence. Like he knows his power, he knows, and probably he has a good system of support, emotional support that they provide for him. The right words and the right they console him, they give him, they talk to him, they make him like get into his senses, because I feel like when he gets upset, he gets really stubborn and there's no way you can convince him of something. But I think that he definitely is surrounded by people that love him, and they are like, come on, you need to slow down, come on, you don't have to react, like stay patient, and it's funny actually, because I'm looking at the emperor, and here in this card it's not very visible because it's a vintage color card, so the colors are a bit diminished. But actually the emperor is it always has like this red cape cape, this red uh, clothes on him. He always wears red, to assert and to represent his passion and his assertiveness and his power, and it's funny how and ironic how he got also backlash for wearing a red hoodie, so I think, like I mentioned in one of my lives when we were talking about this, he probably likes to wear red, and actually Aries people, they do look great in red, but oh well. Then we have the Tower and the High Priestess. So definitely, I think that something broke inside of him. Like there's a huge disappointment that I think that actually taught him to do things differently. Probably if you see him again, he's going to change a few things about himself. But he's also going to show a few. He's going to show a bit more of a pride of who he is. He's not going to apologize. He's going to be a bit more daring in that sense, because we have the emperor here. But I think that in an unconscious level, because we have the high priestess here, probably this is like somehow giving him, he's connecting a bit more with his spirituality and with his intuitive side, that probably he's not very comfortable with being spiritual, or there's something about his intuition that is still not very well in sync or tuned, or so sometimes he gets confused a lot about his thoughts and feelings. He probably is like, oh no, I'm imagining this, because moon in Pisces people, they do have a lot of like a lot of imagination, and it's a very vivid imagination. So for him, he can be like, oh, no, I'm imagining this. And actually, it's his own intuition telling him to go deeper, to recruit into himself and to find the answers within himself. That there's no need to share with the world or share with everyone what you're going through. That he needs to also, build a better connection and communication with his inner world. He does have he has a gift, definitely. He's much more sensitive than what he lets on, but somehow, we have two different forces here that is represented by this major arcana. We have in the middle, we have the emperor, we have the tower, and then we have the high priestess. So the emperor is the representation of his Aries sun, and the high priestess is the representation of his moon sign that is in Pisces. So there's these two energies that are very different from each other. So he somehow needs to acknowledge, like, let one of those parts be more present in your life. Probably the high priestess, because the high priestess is represented by his moon sign. And in the moon sign, like I always say, the moon sign is hidden. The moon sign characteristics, you don't show it to everyone. You show it just when you are at home or when you are surrounded by people that you trust and that you have known for a while. So I think that probably he's like, okay, maybe I need to go a bit, I need to concentrate a bit on myself and my needs and my wants, and being a bit more on the inside, and probably reclude a bit, even though I do feel like I want to break things. There's something like, there's this kind of anger in him, about I want to break things. So probably if he does physical exercise, or this is mandatory for an Aries person, to do exercise, to do physical training. If he does work out, he should focus more on that to somehow, let out the frustrations, so it doesn't get bottled up in his body. But I think that all this experience taught him that he should be more reserved. And there's something here very important. Why does he need to be more reserved? I think that probably, a lot of people think that, oh, as a Sang did this, they filmed this, they did this. But there's something more, there's something deeper here with the high priestess. Definitely he's upset at someone. So I don't know if maybe it's a Sasang, the one that filmed it. I think that somehow he knows this person, or he knows how everything happened, and he's really angry at that. Because the tower is like, the destruction of everything that you thought you knew. So maybe people that he thought he trusted, or maybe he knows something. He knows something. The high priestess is also someone that is very perceptive. It's very intuitive. But the high priestess is like the one that holds the secrets. It's like you know things. You don't know how you know them, but you know them. So in this case, I think that Mingyu probably knows where all this backlash comes from, or he knows the person, or he knows who allowed this to happen. Because there's like, I don't think this is just one person's responsibility. I think that it's other people's responsibility, and that it has to do with people that he considered not friends, but maybe acquaintances, people that he knows. So there's this sense of the tower here is like, okay, I can no longer do this with you. Like, I can no longer trust you. I can no longer, like, it's done. It's done. We are done. I'm cutting connections. I'm cutting. I'm not going to show myself that way. I'm not, So this definitely had a repercussion in his relationship with others, and this is why he's going inwards in order to not explode. But of course, um, a chaotic situation happened because the tower is destruction. So something happened, something in his close circle or something got damaged. So, and he's hurt by that. He's upset and he's hurt, but he's slowly recovering it. But he knows that from now on he has to be even more secretive. He has to be secretive. He has to be, you know, he has to be a bit more, and there's something, you know because I don't know if you are an Aries, or if you happen to know people that are Aries. I know in my case I have Aries people, very important people in my life that are Aries, and there's something that they definitely are not really good at, that is lying and keeping information. So, this high priestess here is like the result of the reading. So I think that probably what also affected some, or made it evident in Minhyuk's situation, is that he probably shouldn't be so transparent. There's something that he probably also says things, that he is like an open book. He's very naive and innocent in that way. Probably if he trusts you, or if he feels comfortable talking to you, he will tell you things about himself. And probably it seems like there's something else about him, like there's not just actions, because yes, with actions he's very honest, but there's also about sharing what he thinks or what he knows with others. So probably he did also share a few comments here and there that also made it more difficult for him. And now he's like, I'm sorry. He's in this like emperor mode, where he's also feeling really angry at himself. This is why he's showing himself as this emperor. Like, okay, like, I don't want to change who I am. I am who I am. I said what I said. I do what I do. I don't want to apologize. But somehow, this tower moment, and this dissolution, this destruction, and this high priestess is is teaching him a lesson. It's teaching him a lesson. It's teaching him the lesson that maybe he needs to be a bit more reserved, and that he needs to practice a bit more of meditation, a bit more of going inwards, a bit more of being a bit more like, into himself. Don't show so much of you to others. Like, keep being you, but just be a bit more secretive. Hold your secrets. And it's not that he has a secret, but I think that it has to do about random facts about his person, or random customs about who he really is, or who he is, that he somehow just show it. He doesn't have a problem with that, but people just take it the wrong way, because they love, to somehow to affect, or to ruin the idol's image for people. I don't know why they do that. It's really disappointing, but they do it. These people that do this invasion of privacy, they do it with this purpose, to be like, oh, I know something about him that you don't, something like that. So I think that probably he's learning that he has to be, that he doesn't have to share that much, that and of course, as he said, because actually, You know, he's not a rookie. He actually has a lot of experience. But every now and then, you know, idols do have these sort of situations where somehow it reminds them that there are some things that they cannot do or say, or, you know, and it must be really, I know I would be frustrated, but oh well, you know, this is the lesson for him. So yes, guys, this is all I have for him, and I'm sorry for the ranting. I'm sorry that this video is taking longer, but I think that there was a lot of things to say here, so this is why I didn't want to stop. So thank you guys for being here with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.